All right, we're back again in the shop on a cold Sunday morning here in the Northeast into the single digits. So nothing better than building in a nice warm room. One of the advantages of my shop is I work in the boiler room, so it's generally pretty warm, which is a bit. All right, so today kind of got a bunch of things going. Pretty happy with the landing gear mount from the other day. It's only all tack glued in. We'll put it in an epoxy. Things I'm going to do on this is lead out guide. So just a piece of 1/8 inch plywood with a slot cut in it. And I use some nylon 120 thousandths little electrical ends to stick in there. You could use brass. There's many different things you can use. So we're going to be mounting that today. The thing is, we got the tip weight box, and make sure you put it on the outboard wing on the bottom. Other things we'll be working on is the back of the take apart hardware. We got to piece this together on the fuse. On the wing. So we'll be setting this up and getting it glued in place today. And the other thing is I'm gonna start getting ready on putting in the spar that attaches it to the landing gear and attaches the take apart. What I did was I started wrapping it in 7/1000 Kevlar string. If you don't have this stuff, it's pretty good stuff. You can get it at Amazon, you can get it at any place, but it's really good for some additional lightweight strength. In this case, we're going to use it because you have aluminum here. The mount's made of aluminum. I'm going to be attaching it to wood. So I'm using the Kevlar as a bit of a bonding agent there. It's going to help with the bond and keep it attached. So I got to wrap the rest of that up. But we'll start with the tip weight box. And what I like to do is I happened to, from Tom Morris, he was selling these a couple of years ago. I got a bunch of boxes from him. What I like to do with it is just for some extra insurance is wrap Kevlar around it. You add tip weight anyway, so even if you added more weight on this, it wouldn't matter. I've always seen people strive to build like the lightest tip weight box setup, and I don't understand why, because you gotta add tip weight anyway. All right, so what I'll do is I'll just wrap this. So I pull the string tight on it, just a dab of CA on it, and definitely this is one of those opportunities you get to glue your fingers together for sure. Q-tips and paper towels are really good at this point. Just kind of press it down a little bit, so it kind of holds it in place. Scissors. I'm gonna sharpen my scissors. All right. So I do is kind of just wrap it around a few times. This is just a little extra insurance, because anytime you glue plywood together, it doesn't always adhere the best sometimes. And I didn't build these boxes, so this is like just extra insurance. And again, you're going to put weight in here anyway. So what I'll do is going to just drop some CA on the final wrap. What I like to do is coat all of the Kevlar with CA. Really creates a great bond. Paper towel, always good to help kick the CA off. So kind of just puddle it in there a little bit. It's just one of those things, a little extra insurance. Be nothing worse than having a tip weight box open up inside the wing. Like I said, it's like free insurance. I also use this this Kevlar string or Kevlar thread on push rods. When you make an end of push rod, just again more insurance. Really no weight added. You can also use unwaxed dental floss works too, if you ever needed to wrap something. But this is 7/1000 or 8/1000 Kevlar thread, which I got from Amazon. Sorry. All right, so the tip wipe box is set. That's done. All right, on to. Oh man. All right, on to the lead out guide. Let's see if we can get a little bit. Let's see if I can zoom this in a little. It helps. That's not what I wanted. There we go. Just change the angle a little bit. All right. All right, so what's important about the lead out guide when you set it in a wing is really getting it right in the center of the wing, if that's the design. Really getting it in that spot. In this case, I have that 1/16 lip, which is good because I can kind of just trim it down and get this thing to be perfectly through the center. So I'll just mark it. So I'm going to kind of use this piece of 16th I have here as a holder, which will be good. I'll have to reinforce it a little bit, but it kind of helps me out here. Good sharp X-Acto will cross grain cut easily. Well, not easily, but. Okay. All right, so we're gonna try. All right, so we need a small piece of 1/4 inch. Just gotta cut off here. Oh, let's see what do I got laying around. Ooh. pretty good. So I'll trim this down. It doesn't need to be that long. Wood is nice and soft. Alright, so we'll tack glue down in place. Alright, so you have to be careful you don't glue it to the mold. So I'll pull it back a little bit. Alright, because it's on a little bit of an angle, you just got to trim it down. You guys can see this a little far away, I know. Alright. Alright, so if you look, just really have a 1/8 balsa edge here. I got slots cut in. And that'll sit right in there like so. What you want to do is just make sure the lead outs come out right through the center. Like right there, it's just about perfect. I'm going to tack glue this in. Because I can see it really good like this. So there's your lead out guide right in the center. And what I'll do is I'm going to put along the back here, I'll put a piece of 1/4 inch that ties that all together. I'll just round up those edges and clean it up. I will have to trim some of that back to make sure the lead out guide can go fully. But that's how I install the lead out guide. And then when the other half will fall on top, it'll really tighten it up. All right. Make sure it has full range of motion. has full range of motion. Nice. Okay. All right. I'll need a small piece of 1/4 inch. Let me find a good piece. And this is where you don't have to use your lightest wood. In fact, that's no good. Okay, let me. Okay. Alright, so we got to trim a little bit so we don't catch the leadout guide. So if you look, we're just going to cut a little bit out so the leadout guide can kind of go through. And this will secure it. I will have to make 2 of these, one for the top, one for the bottom. This is not a light piece of balsa, it's pretty hard. You know, the one thing you just always got to be mindful of, anything you put on the inboard side, you got the counterbalance on the outboard side. So you always want the lighter side to be the inboard side, but to a point. You can make things not structurally sound by being a little too light or using the wrong balsa in the wrong area. This is one of those areas where you don't need your lightest piece. You kind of need to hold the leadout guide in place. Okay, perfect. All right, you gotta make another one of these because we gotta make one for the other side. So I gotta find another piece of scrap wood here. Okay. Alright, so everybody saw Dan Winship's he's starting to build a whole shot, which is a Bob Hunt design. Recently debuted in AMA, which was nice to see control line get some coverage. Dan's gonna build it from start to finish there. I got to watch a good 15-minute clip this morning. Dan is he's always got some great ideas. So great opportunity to learn something, and it's just good stuff to watch. Dan's always got some cool stuff. He's always got some good jigs, tooling. I'm always thinking about it. So, yep. And of course, Sparky's always building some really good stuff. That guy's always building a new plane. So you get to learn a lot too if you get the time and watch through it. The more of us that share, the better off we are. Better off we're all going to be. Okay. I got 2 of those made now. One for the top. Where is? Gotta start putting the parts together, because then what'll happen is you end up putting it somewhere in the shop and you can't find it. Happened to me a bunch of times. Now be careful not to glue this, to glue the slider in place. Run your glue seam down there. Let it dry, and then you can move the slider to the other side and finish gluing it. But that's going to be really good and secure. When the top comes on, it's going to be more secure. Just kind of want to cut back the angle a little bit. And the trick will be to do that on the top side, lining it up. Just always making sure that thing's moving too. Be careful not to glue your slider in place. Well done, I'm sure. So the slider's pretty well attached, and again, when the top goes on, it's really going to hold it in place. Alright, we got that. So now tip weight box, another thing we're going to work on. On this side here, let's just move the camera down a little bit. Okay. So this is the bottom of the wing, so it goes down. You always want to get it to pretty far outside the wing as you can. And I always try to get it somewhere where it goes right through the middle of the spar. I'm going to use this piece of 16th as a good holder. It's always hard to cut floating balsa. It just wants to break, so you just got to be careful. Sharp blade helps supporting it where you can. Pretty good right there. I do want a piece of 1/4 inch. Perfect. Just kind of to be able to help me guide it, because I'm going to put 1/4 inch on it on the other side. Going to use these to hold this up in place. do want to put the hole through so I know where it is. Oh, there's my snap punch. What I will do is I'll use the screw here to kind of help me. Alright, gotta store it up. Just gonna trim a little bit off, make it fit a little better. Alright, so we're ready to tack glue this into this. Uh-oh. We'll just tack it right down in place. What I will do is put a 1/4 inch ball saw inside around it to kind of hold it off. Okay. get the screw out now. Alright, so I'll make 1 3/4. I'll cut off 2 at 1 3/4 for the front and back. So you're on a little bit of a thing, so what you gotta do is you gotta shape it a little bit. What I'll do is I'll hold them together and but you don't have to, you could leave them flat, but then you're gonna have to fill that in later anyway, so. A little bit more. So I think you make them. Alright. Alright, just tack it in place, kind of. And glue it up. A little harder to get this one in place, but it's okay. So if you look, one on this side, one on that side, and then what we'll do is we'll put a piece here, close the box off, and then we go cut the other side out. We'll have a nice base around it. These little pieces I cut off before are going to be almost. Okay, I got to take just a touch off them. Just want to get it so it fits in nice. Get a nice glue seam. Just glue it in good. Again, nothing worse than a tip weight box coming out in flight. All your friends will talk about you. Alright, so the box is completed up. And the top side is easy, you just cut it out a notch, it'll attach itself right to it. So we'll let it dry for a few minutes. And then what we'll do is we're going to place this right on top here, we'll mark it, we'll cut it out, and we should be pretty good. Alright. Alright, once we get the tip weight box done, we're going to work on the back mount for the take apart. We're going to get that all set up and cut the size. Marked up. Well, we've got to dry, I'll sand some of this in. Do got to do some repairs to the mold. I do got to make a repair on the fuselage mold that was on the front that kind of pulled out, so we'll be doing that as well, getting it set up for the next set. Alright. Alright, let's dry. Just look how you want the box to look. This is all cosmetic stuff now. Alright, so that's on. Gonna get a very sharp X-Acto. And if you, these are 1.5s, these are great, especially for small detailed work. My vision's pretty good. I don't need glasses to read, but I will use them to do this work. Really helps magnify. So 1.25, 1.5 are definitely good things to have. So I will cut out on the cross grain stuff first. It'd be nice if I could use what I cut out as the absolute top of the box, so it already has this shape, but it's not critical. This kind of went into the fiberglass a little bit. It's gonna be a little hard to cut, which is alright. Just score it up. Going through one of the carbon ribs too, so it's gonna be a little tricky to cut, but we'll work through it. just want to be careful. It's kind of fragile on the edge. Alright, let's just keep working it slowly. I gotta remember on the next one not to put the carbon rivet out at the edge. Move it in a little bit. Oh boy. Just take your time and keep cutting through it. That 007 carbon is stout stuff though. Cut through. And I just gotta work the front. Okay, so there's our door. We gotta clean it up a little bit, but look. There's a tip weight box, nice. We'll clean up the edges a little bit. I will drip some CA in here to just attach this really well. Alright. That's pretty good. What we'll do is we'll save these pieces off to the side. It'd be nice if I could put, I'll put balsa on top of this and I'll sand it in, and then if I could take another 16, I'd like to reuse this because it's already got the finish on it. But put it over the other parts here. Alright. Just gonna let that dry in a little bit. Alright, so the tip weight box is now done. Back on the mark here. So this plane has a 1/2 inch offset in it. This design, so there's a mark in the mold that gives me a 1/2 inch. Okay. Alright, so far so good. now we're going to be on to, let me zoom in a little bit so you guys hopefully can see a little better. Okay. Alright, so now we're going to be putting in the rear take-apart hardware. What I like to do here is let me get the wing all set back up. What I will do is use some tape just to hold things in place. Scotch tape works pretty good everywhere. Pretty happy with that. Let's just measure it, double check it. Good boy. Okay. Half an inch of offset there. Here we go. All right. So now you want to mount these. These are the back halves. A couple things we got to do. One, we got to locate them, and then we got to punch the hole through, and then we got to make a mount here. And the other thing we're going to have to do is we're going to have to attach the cross piece. If you look, they come. There's channels in them, so that's how it goes like that. You set the separation with a piece of wood. I'll either use basswood or a piece of hardwood, a piece of spruce or something, and then I'll wrap it with Kevlar and epoxy. Just to hold it in place. This one's got to get turned around. Now we've got a tube to cut it out. Got the right size tube. Too big. Just right. Alright, so a copper tube is good, or a brass tube. What you do is just sharpen the end really good. So sharpen the end up. And this will give you really nice clean cuts on it. So you're going to figure out how far we want it from the edge. So I'm going to go 3/4 of an inch from the edge. That's a good number. Let me just double check something here. A little less than 3/4 from the edge. So I'm gonna go about 5/8 now. just to keep them in line. Um, Not that it truly matters. It's all about a 1/4 inch wide. Alright, so what I do is I even have a line marked as even distance here, so we're a straight line. Alright, so what we'll do is we'll line up our brass too. What I'll kind of do is cheat a little bit. I'll make an impression. Then all I do is put light pressure and spin. Fiberglass is sticking on there. Okay, so that's good right there. That always rolls to the other side of the shop, doesn't it? Alright, so hopefully you're getting a bunch out of this. I've used this take apart system before. It's pretty good. You know, I like the way it installs. I like the way it works. It is mechanically sound. Just cut all the way through. One of the things we will do when we're done, we're going to put end ribs here just to close it off. Okay. Alright, and that's how we get it set up. And what we'll do is I'm going to put a piece of filler piece in here just to kind of lock this in place so it don't move on both sides of it. And then what we'll do is we'll cut the piece here and fit it in. Alright. Let me get a piece of 1/4. I'll use a piece of 3/8 I had laying around for scrap. It's actually a piece of sea grain, which is actually good for this. You cut it out on the saw. I'll trim it to size. This is a piece of flap that I had laying around. That's why it's always good to save pieces. I have a little small scrap pile over there, and I put the bigger scraps over there in the balsa bin. One day I'll see if I get a shot of that. That's good right there. It looks like it's the same fit up on that side. Alright. And what we'll do is we'll trim it to the trailing edge. These are much bigger than they need to be. Alright. And I'll glue these in place and then we'll trim them. This helps tie the trailing edge into it. Oh man. Saw blade. I gotta get some more 26. Alright. Gotta get more 26 blades. I got one over here that's decent. What you do is you take some shavings off. Don't take too big of shavings. Then you will chip the wood. It will splinter. It will not cut the way you want it to go. And all I'm going to do is cut it till it's down to the same height as the trailing edge. So it's about a 16th, and then I'll sand the rest in. Okay. Alright, so these blocks tie the trailing edge in. I'll just take your flat block and just do not sand into the trailing edge. And what's nice, if it had a little bit of a gap here between the trailing edge mark so what I can do is I'll leave the dust on. I'll use the dust as a filler here. Alright. Alright, so our pieces are in. Okay. Now we'll do to figure how long of a piece we need. 4 3/16. Nope. Yes, 4 3/16. Alright, so let me get I think I got a piece of spruce which will work nicely. I actually do. Alright. 4 3/16. So I'll go a little big and sand it in. Touch big. Alright, so what I do is I'm going to use 2 pieces. I'm going to glue them together like this. This way you get that strength like this. The grain running this way. So what I'll do is I will glue it together. This will be wrapped in Kevlar and epoxied in place too. Alright, so what I'm going to do is now I'll fit this up. My pen, I just got to mark it. Okay. What we'll do is come over to the grinder a little bit. Let's take a little bit more off. So you see, fits in nicely, and that'll all be epoxied in and wrapped now. We won't glue these pieces in yet because they still get unbolted. Okay, it's pretty close. So we'll do the same thing on the other side. So we'll do markers up to center groove, and we just got to take a little bit off of it. Okay, second one's fit up. Now let's see how we do lengthwise. We have to trim the length a little bit. That's pretty good. Pretty good. All right, so that's ready to go. We're ready to glue up. All right. All right. All right, so now we're going to glue it up. What you want to do with aluminum is you want to make sure it's roughened up. I have a carbide bit in here. I'm just going to roughen it up a little bit. Try not to catch it in your sweatshirt. All right, so what you're doing with that is you're just putting some rough cuts in there. It's creating tooth, so the epoxy will get in there and stick in. All right, let me get some glue. I got I'm ready with the wire. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to use this 3M Scotch Weld 420. It's really high. It's higher strength stuff. It's made to mix metals, wood, fiberglass, carbon fiber together. But any epoxy will work. But you just need a really good bond. And I like this dispenser, works pretty good. It mixes it as it goes through. I just like the application because it just makes it easier to apply. And what I'll do is I'll run out the last little, I always run a little bit out. So I'll put a liberal amount. Okay. Liberal amount on there, and what I'll do is I will squeeze it into the mount. Make sure it gets through the holes in the mount. Okay. What I'll do is kind of wipe the excess off. Make sure you get a good bond around it. Alright. What I'll do is I'll start in the middle. I'll put a dab of CA here just to kind of lock me in. And what I'll do is I will wrap this thing. I'll wrap it in the end. I will hit with some CA. And the other end, I will just wrap it again. So I'll wrap the ends. Get back to the middle somewhere. What I'll do is drop a CA. Okay. Okay. That's what it looks like. It'll dry a little bit. What I will do is take a little extra epoxy. The other thing is you make sure it's not on any of the mating surfaces. I will just take some epoxy and kind of get the Kevlar thread by the aluminum mount. What I'll do is I'll just work this into the threads. Really good. And then when it's all dry, what I'll do is I will run CA over the middle of it to really just have the Kevlar stick in. All right. Now, you just want to make sure anywhere you're going to be bolting it down is nice and clean. And you don't want excess epoxy in there too, just wait. Alright, so that has to dry for a little while. Just put it somewhere where we won't fix anything. I got a piece of wax paper. Alright. Alright, so hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video. I'll probably do some work off camera today, a little bit more. And yeah, those are disposable tips. Don't be cheap and try to use it more than once. But that's kind of where we're at. So we got the lead-out guide in, the tip weight box is done, the rear mount of the take apart is done, ready to be glued in. Next things I'm going to be working on are, well, I'll call it the spar that goes to the landing gear plates. Once that's done, we're ready to kind of put the tops on. I've been thinking about how I'm going to do that. I could do it in the mold. I could take both, do one half at a time. Once I get these located right, and I could just glue it on and then put it back in the mold. I could just glue it like this. In this case, there's not a lot of top glue stuff to worry about. Like you have ribs and stuff. Like I got that, this. These pieces here are gonna have to glue to something, so I'm gonna have to do the same thing on. I'll do something similar on the top halves. Just put a piece of wood here, so this way it kind of mates up and has extra things to stick to. But overall, yeah, the build is moving along. We'll have the wing hopefully by Christmas. So today's Sunday. Maybe I'll get some opportunities to work on it on Christmas Day when the kids are all relaxing. Yeah. Hopefully have the wing done, ready to be bolted to a fuse, and then we'll start working on the fuse. Alright, so hope you guys like it. If you like it, click the like button. Again, just the goal here is I'm just trying to share some of the things I do. There are many ways to do this work. There are 1,000 ways to skin a cat, as they say. So do it. My way is not always the best way, but it works for me. Alright, so thanks for watching. Till next time.